Hello guys, my name is AP and welcome to the second devlog of HoboWars. Today was a rough week, I have to admit that, but it's going along. We're getting all the base features done. We're getting a bunch of optimizations in there too, because just because I put in the basic engine last week doesn't mean it's a basic engine. It's not going to be the best. And so I added some more stuff to it. I also made it to where you can actually make games on it. uh, you can actually use it for game development. So yeah, I'll show you how my week went so far. So the first thing we're going to talk about is actually going to be the UI system I chose to make. And so there are many out there, but I chose to go with an anchor point system. And in case you didn't know what that was, it's basically to where you have a bunch of anchor points like in all the corners and all the edges, and you can define where UI elements are in that. So say you have a 250 by 360 UI element, well, you could just position that around one of the anchor points like this, where you have it 100 by 100 away from the top right, and you can easily reposition it anywhere. And so also you can have points on the rectangle to where you can be either centered on the rectangle or the top right or top left. So after I got that done, I could easily position it anywhere. As you can see here, I made it to where I can make a square in the center of the window where I can resize it, and it always stays the same shape, and it takes up at 30% of the window. I also made a button UI because that was pretty simple to implement. And so as you can see, if I click on this blue rectangle, it takes me to the Pong game. So after I implemented the UI system, I went one with image processing. And image processing is not really the right term, because all I do is set and get pixels of a certain texture. And so I implemented that pretty easily, with first just being able to make it my own image and then tell what each pixel is. And then I was able to get that pixel by just reading it and returning the RGB value, and then I have a bunch of helper functions inside my color class to get to like either normalized RGB, normal RGB, or the hex value. And so then I was able to definitively find and get the color of a certain pixel. Finally, I don't know actually how useful this is going to be, but I was able to get the pixel of whatever I was clicking at, or a certain pixel of the actual display. So it's not an actual texture, it's at the actual display. So as you can see, I can click on the background, which is black, and I can click on the sprite, which is white, and it will tell me what color that is. And finally, I get to the last topic of the video, which is batch rendering, which is my arch nemesis. I really hate batch rendering, but it had to be done because of the performance. So to prove this, I actually made a demo with the old rendering system, and to show you, and you can't really see it, but this is actually 40 or 50 frames per second, and the video doesn't really do that justice, but you can, in the actual real life, you can actually tell a big difference when you move it around the camera. And so I really didn't like this, because that's not really a lot of quads or sprites per se in an actual game, because you might have a lot of stuff and when you're actually developing a game. So I didn't want that. So I went on to actually make a batch rendering system, which I actually talked about in one of my old tutorials, but I really didn't do it justice on how, first of all, beneficial it is, but also how hard it is. So what I did there is I just basically batched up all the things to where it doesn't have to unload and reload a lot of models. It can all draw it at the same time. And that is a really beneficial for 3D, because there's a lot of vertices and all the information there. But when we're dealing with 2D quads, it really isn't that much of a difference. I mean, every single quad has 4 vertices. The only difference is how you are able to render it. So to show that off, I just went off to a separate thing, and this is what I usually do for things I really don't know how to do. I went off to a separate project and I started developing there. And so right away I already got the basics done. I just got it to where I can render 2 separate quads with different colors, but they're only using one draw call, as you can see here. And so next I needed to get where I can actually move these quads and actually get textures on them. And so I had to make a little texture cache there so I can reload textures so I don't keep making more textures when I already have one bound in memory. And so finally I put that into my actual game engine. As you can see, this is running a lot smooth. I mean, you can't really see it because obviously OBS runs at a solid 30 frames because of my stupid laptop not being able to really record well. So anyways, it's running 60 frames per second. You can see up there how many milliseconds it's taking. So yeah, and so the final thing to do for batch rendering was to get all the niche stuff done, like rotated quads, and to get the UI system working again, because I did have to change how I rendered stuff. So instead of having just a base model, I actually had to make the model in the code. So that changed a lot of the UI code. So I just fixed that up there. So now, as you can see, everything is running together and everything is running beautifully. Anyways, that's it for the video. This was a long week, but I had to get that stuff out of the way. Anyways, check out my previous devlog if you haven't seen it already. And if you want to do stuff, you can do stuff. Also check out the Chernos channel. That guy basically taught me how to do the batch rendering. He basically was my source code. Of course, I didn't copy him word for word because he's codes in C++, so I couldn't, and so I had to adapt that. And then at the end, when I made my own project, I just used his concepts. I didn't actually use his code. So anyways, just go check out his channel. You probably already seen him if you've seen mine. But anyways, that is it for the video. And yeah, bye.